Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now today we're going to be discussing what in the world is going on in the crypto market, because recently it's been super volatile. If we look at the chart, really it doesn't actually look like a whole lot of anything has happened, but if you've been in the crypto market, I'm sure you've been kind of feeling all of these different moves. And so, I want to talk a little bit about that, what this could mean, kind of where are we at, like historically speaking. Again, we can't always look towards the past as like an indicator of the future. We really should not be relying on that, but it can at least point to what we've seen kind of at this point in the cycle, at least historically speaking. Again, I don't expect it to mirror it exactly, but it usually does follow somewhat closely, and we'll kind of take a look at that, and I think you'll probably agree with me that we will be seeing something like that today as well. But before we do that though, I did want to jump into crypto bubbles, because we can see again a pretty mixed day on the market. Again, definitely a red day overall, but we do actually have a few more greens in here than what I might have initially expected, just kind of given the overall pessimism and just general sentiment within the crypto market. We can see virtuals here up 10.8% on the day. Things looking really, really good for virtuals. I'm actually going to be making another video about virtuals just specifically. That'll be coming out later today probably as well. So keep an eye out for that if you are interested in hearing more about virtuals. We can see that, it's doing really, really well. 168% on the month, 11% on the day. They did actually break $4. We're sitting below $4 right now, but overall, looking really, really good. So we'll just kind of keep monitoring that, see how that goes. What we can see though for Bitcoin, things looking okay, right? I mean, if we look at it, we obviously saw that run up. We've come down since then, but we have held this support kind of at the low 90s really, really well. Haven't really broken past that. Obviously, we saw a couple minor wicks here and there, but haven't really broken past this liquidity zone. We are actually sitting at the bottom of it though, so that does remain a possibility. If we do break below it, I think we could probably see this 85 range. That would be my guess. Maybe we even come back down into 82, just because we did see such a gap up here. Maybe there's a lack of a liquidity at this point, so we come back down to this 82 zone. I think between 85 and 82 is a possibility if we do break below this liquidity zone, kind of at the 91,500 range. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. We can see with other similar larger cryptos, we'll take a look at Ethereum as well. We can also see that Ethereum has kind of seen something similar. It saw a pretty decent move to the upside. It has kind of come back. It's consolidating down at this 3,300 point. We did break 4,000, on multiple different occasions, mainly just wicks only. We did see I guess a couple candles kind of starting at the 4,000 range, but mainly we were just seeing wicks up in this range. And then now again, we've seen kind of some consolidation down on this lower line of support, but we can see just a lot of bouncing around, a lot of big wicks kind of everywhere, tons of volatility happening recently. And so just always make sure that you're keeping an eye out for that, not setting your stop losses too tight, getting liquidated, because in my opinion, that's kind of what these markets are for. And even the Bitcoin chart might even illustrate it even better, where it's this movement is all basically just to liquidate people, right? I mean, there's no real clear direction. You could say we have kind of a slight bias to the downside, but I wouldn't even say that that's totally true, just because we have held this level of support at the low 90s so well. And so I don't know, things right now I think looking pretty good. Not anything too concerning overall. Now, if you are looking to trade Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, XRP, anything like that, feel free to use my link in the description below to BTCC. I am still working with them because they are still doing that really, really awesome 10% bonus on first-time deposits. This is in addition to the extra bonuses of up to $10,055 per user. So a really, really good deal. I mean, this is basically guaranteed free money. So if you are looking for a new place to trade, or maybe even want a second or third exchange to trade on, just for diversification reasons and whatnot, you can feel free to use this link in the description below, and you will get that 10% bonus on first-time deposits, which again, really, really good deal. They've also been around for 13 years, so definitely not a huge risk of them being a here today, gone tomorrow type of exchange. They've been in crypto probably longer than most of us. Also 300 plus crypto futures, so if there is something that you are wanting to trade, they do probably have it. Also up to 500x leverage. Again, I'd strongly discourage you using leverage this high, just because in my opinion it's kind of like gambling up at that point. Anything above 10 to 20x it is exceedingly risky, and you should really know what you're doing, and frankly, using leverage at all, you should really know what you're doing. But also BTCC does just have a normal spot exchange if you're looking to not really go the leverage route and just trade the actual crypto assets themselves, which obviously can be a very, very good strategy as well. So also no VPN or KYC necessary if that is something you're looking for. Now moving on, I wanted to just go over our quick little market overview dashboard that we have been referring to over the past several weeks. We can see for Bitcoin, open interest starting to kind of subside a little bit. We are dropping below that 60 billion number, which we have been at basically for over the past month or so. Not the end of the world. You can see our open interest prior to that, the highs were at what is this, maybe like 30, yeah, just under 40 billion. And so now we're just dropping barely under 60. So it's still almost basically 50% higher than where we were even at previous all-time highs. So I think things still looking really, really good here. We could stand to see this come back, pull maybe back into like the 50s, maybe even 45 billion range. I still wouldn't be all too concerned. If we look at the RSI heat map, we can see just kind of the overall market weakening a little bit. Basically, like the only crypto sitting in overbought is virtuals. I think this does make sense. I mean, it's run really, really hard while kind of the overall rest of the market has been struggling. We can see the majority of the market still in the neutral territory, the market average being kind of in the low neutral side, but we are starting to see more crypto coins moving down into the weak and even just a handful into the oversold category. And so things looking, I would say, decent-ish on the RSI heat map. I do think we will start to see things kind of pull back even further. I could see us getting a market average back in like the middle of the week territory. I do think we probably will see some continued choppiness and increasing pessimism, things like that. We kind of need to get some of the optimism and the hype and the mania to cool off a little bit before we do start that next move to the upside, in my opinion. Also, we can see on the Bitcoin exchange liquidation map, we are actually favoring a move to the downside, which would be liquidating longs. It looks like people are jumping in maybe on the long side, expecting a move to the upside. Usually, especially when we're seeing a market as choppy as this probably means we might see a move to the downside. However, if we do check the 7-day, it is actually showing a move to the upside, which would be liquidating shorts. So kind of a mixed move in the market here, which again, I think this kind of makes sense just given on what we're seeing kind of in the market overall. There's a ton of choppiness, a ton of like indecisiveness. People are essentially like, the price is just chopping around, liquidating people. We can see on the 24 hours, $221 million liquidated. So still a huge amount of money being liquidated every single day. So, lots of people getting liquidated, lots of people going too hard on leverage, which again, if you have been listening to me, it has been my opinion that we should really not be going too hard on leverage right now, just because of the market that we're sitting in. It's really hard to kind of pick a direction. And honestly, like, the market doesn't even have a direction. Really, I think the direction is liquidate people and cause pain. And so, you don't want to be one of those. Also, we can see with the crypto fear and greed index, we actually are pulling back. We're very, very close into neutral at this point. A couple weeks ago, I did say that I think it would be pretty likely that we saw the fear and greed index move at least back to neutral, potentially even fear. I think seeing the fear and greed index move back into extreme fear is pretty far out of the question, but then again, it is crypto. Anything can happen. So, definitely don't rule that out of being a possibility. But overall, I think getting very close to neutral, I think at this point, it's possible that we see that. I do think we kind of still need to see the market kind of reset a little bit. And I think what we're seeing in this market overview dashboard is kind of a pretty good sign of that. A lot of these metrics are starting to kind of slowly but surely reset a little bit and kind of climb back to the middle, which I do think is good. Also, one thing I wanted to show you today is the Bitcoin halving progress chart, because we've been talking about how scary things have been and how bad things have gotten, things like that. But if we do look at this Bitcoin halving progress chart, we can see a couple of things. So as we can see here, kind of after the first halving cycle, we could see that the pullback had kind of already happened, and then we'd be starting to kind of move into the second leg up. The first leg up had basically already happened by this point, at least in the first halving cycle, and then we started to see that kind of slow bleed back until the second halving. If we look basically at every other halving moving forward, though, what we can see is we do have this pretty strong dip. Price sitting up here at about $1,200, dips all the way back basically below 1,000, and then starts this move all the way up to that 17 or 20,000 range, which I think is what we saw at the top. Same type of thing here. We saw a climb back up to like the 39 range, and then a flash crash almost basically down to 30,000. Again, we can see about a 25-ish% drop here after we see things kind of curve a little bit. Now, what we've seen only so far is obviously we've seen these tops coming in here at like the 105, 107, 108 range. But if we were to see a flash crash mirroring something like what we saw in both of these, that would mean we would be seeing a drop into like the low 80s, high 70s, kind of depending on how things are looking here. And so I think there's definitely a strong possibility that we continue to see some bleeding in the market. We see Bitcoin drop even further, kind of get that panic, greed type of mindset set in. We will catch a bottom, and then from there, I think we'll, the dip will get bid up really, really strongly, and then we might be kind of on our way to what could be, potentially the ultimate highs of the cycle for Bitcoin. but I am kind of expecting that we do see some level of crash like that happening. I know a lot of people have been expecting that it, happens in January. Given that December is basically over, I would say, ruling it out of December is probably a pretty comfortable thing to do, at least at this point. But if it happens in January or February, whatever, who knows? Maybe because, a lot of people are expecting a sort of like flash crash or a very violent move to the downside. Maybe we see it just kind of like slowly ebb down there and then kind of bounce. Really, really hard to say for sure. Obviously, the market works in mysterious ways, and we can never really know for sure what's going to happen. But overall, I do think something in the mid to low 80s, potentially even high 70s, maybe in the worst case, do very much seem like possibilities. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Again, I'm not like, I haven't sold all my bags. I'm sitting here waiting, especially in a bull market. Not necessarily the best idea, just because, generally, if you think you've sold the top, it's probably not. If you think you've sold the bottom or bought the bottom, it's probably not. So anyway, like I'm essentially just trying to potentially looking for DCA opportunities, things like that. Definitely not going, all in or all out on any of these moves. I'm definitely just trying to not get liquidated, not doing anything in leverage, or at least too crazy of leverage. If I'm playing leverage, it's probably less than 5x, basically like 5x or less. So, that's kind of how I've been playing it recently. Obviously, none of this is financial advice. You're an adult. You need to make your own decisions. You need to be responsible for your own decisions and the outcomes of those. I'm just here. These are my opinions. I am not a magician. I can't tell the future, any of that type of stuff. So, there's every possibility in the world that I could be wrong, basically just like anybody could be. And so, obviously I've had a decent track record so far, but that's not to say, again, past performance is no indicator of future success. And so, you just have to, make your own decisions, do your own research, all of that type of stuff. So anyway, hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, please do give me a like and a subscribe, because it really, really does help me out. Also, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything like that, just feel free to drop those in the comment section below. I do try to read and respond to all of those. So, if you have anything you want me to see, that'd be a great way to do so. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.